All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about the DCEU and some of the unfair criticism that is levied towards it. I want to refer you to this channel, Appabend. And in this channel, I've been circulating this video online. You can look at the unreliability of modern critics. So you just do the search, unreliability of modern critics, Appabend. Or I can just drop his link in the description below. So I'll probably do that. Let's go in what is the appropriate thing to critique any film. The first thing you have to do is you're not going into a film expecting anything of it. If you go in, somebody says, I have a gift for you, and you're trying to anticipate what kind of gift they have for you, and you go in expecting something and something else they give you, you'll be disappointed. So when I hear people say that I was disappointed or this was the greatest disappointment of this year, and so I laugh. Because obviously, when you go into a film expecting a certain story and you get a different story, you will be disappointed. So to me, in my opinion, honestly, you don't go in critiquing films expecting anything of the film. You go in to hear what the film has to say. So any good critic or any good person going in to watch movies to enjoy them goes in for the story. They don't go in because it's Warner Brothers. They don't go in because it's Disney. They don't go in because it's DC. They don't go in because it's Marvel. They don't go in because it's Universal. They don't go in because it's Paramount. They don't go in because it's Transformers franchise. They don't go in because it's a DCU franchise. They don't go in because it's a Marvel franchise. They don't go in because it's Fox. You go in because it's a movie. You do not judge this movie on other movies within the universe. You do not judge the movie based on other kinds of movies like it. You judge a story based on the story. When you pick up a book and you read a story in the book, and as you're reading it, you're not comparing it to other stories in other books. So why is it that all of a sudden these modern critics of today start doing these stupid things? Secondly, you do not critique a story based on the director of the story. When you sit down in the cinema, you're not studying about David Ayer or what happened with the movie and what happened with the film. You cannot do that as a critic. It's unprofessional. You go in and you sit down to see what the story is telling you. Everything that you're going to critique this film on is based on the story being presented to you. How effective was that story? How entertaining was that story to you? And then will it possibly be entertaining to the fans? That's why I keep on saying, Robert Ebert said it, a very good film critic, that you don't go into movies judging a movie based on what other people say. You don't go into the movie based on what kind of universe it's in or who's directing it, or who stars in it. You go into a movie for the story. Based on that story, now you will know if it's a good movie or not. Understood? It is that simple. Suicide Squad is not supposed to be compared with any other movie when you're sitting in that theater. You are only interested in what is the story here. What's going on? How effective was the story told? And you're looking at the elements of the film. And a critic is supposed to be able to describe their experience in the film so that the viewers would know of that critique, would know what that experience that critic had. But understand that the critic is coming from his point of view, and therefore you as an audience may like it actually, because you must give the story its chance to be told. The critics who are going in saying that you shouldn't watch this thing, you should go get it on rental instead of going and watching it, are unprofessional. A professional film critic does not say that. They do not prevent the audience from going and seeing a film, no matter if the film is atrocious. You must give the story its chance to be told. You're not there to discourage people from going to see a movie. And all of these hyperboles, a film critic does not go there. They always critique the elements of this film, and they must be able to tell you what the story of the film is. And no, it's not a recital. It must be put forward as the critic understood it. It's not going up on IMDb and rehearsing what IMDb says. You must see that story in the film. If you didn't see the story in the film, you say it. You be honest. Because you want the trust of the audience reading your review. You must be seen as a dependable source to which the audience can go to get a fair assessment of a film from your perspective. And that's why I always say to film critics, if you like horror, critique horror. If you're not a comic book movie fan, don't go in there to watch something that you know you won't like. If you cannot be with a certain level of objectivity so that people can trust your opinion. If you go in to review a film that didn't take to you, but you're really a guy who deals with horror, okay? And this film didn't take to you like that. When you're giving your honest opinion about it, and you're looking at the different criteria of the film, please include that I actually take towards horror films. I usually review horror films. But this film had such universal appeal that I decided to go see it. Put that in your assessment. That way, the audience can trust you. That way, when you make an assessment, the audiences understand this person actually generally likes horror films. This is not really his cup of tea. We don't need hyperbole. We need breakdowns where the story did not express itself fully, where it came up short. Those kinds of things. How was the acting in context of the story? When you can do that very well, when you do non-spoiler reviews, you deal with the elements, but you also deal with the story. Everything is always in the context of the story. This is called storytelling and must be judged on its own independent merits. And then you can expand outwards and say, this film reminds me of elements from this film and this film. But never comparing this film in its entirety and its story to another film. That is stupid. Telling me that this film is trying to do what these other two films were trying to do is a lie. Because every story, while it may borrow elements from other stories, tells its own story. So don't come telling me that this film did this with that film. I, as a fan, could say Captain America Civil War was a rip-off of Batman v Superman, a poor one. I could say that because I'm a fan. I'm not a professional. I'm not getting paid to do this. You, as a film critic, can't do that. See? If you're a professional film critic, you're not supposed to do those things. So if you go in to see a film, and you have to judge that film, you must speak about the film on its merits, on what it has done. And then how you rate a film tells people how biased you are. Some people, they speak all these balanced things, and then they say, the last part of the film destroyed the film for me, so it's a fail. You don't work like that. You must be able to also have sense. If the last part of the film was a letdown, it doesn't necessarily negate everything that came before. But it will depend on your subjectivity. whether you were going to like this film or not. Because people walk into the cinema looking sometimes to nitpick a film to death. That's the case with Suicide Squad. That was the case with Batman v Superman. People went into the cinema to give that film hate, Batman v Superman. Weeks before we saw the critics speaking negative things about the film, we knew they were going to attack it. Right? Same thing with Man of Steel. I don't know where this hate is coming from because it has no reasoning behind it. And they're going to, I'm telling you, I guarantee you, they're going to hate on Wonder Woman. The critics are going to go there and they're going to pan it. And they're going to try and pan it worse. They probably give it 11%. And they don't care. They don't care what you, the audience, feel about the film. They're going to pan this film. Because they're going to continue to try to blacklist the DCEU. I hope that it will fail. It will fall under its weight and fail. They're going to give it the most negative publicity they can. Showing how biased they are and why we would not trust them. Okay? That's the next thing. I'm telling you, they are going to blacklist Wonder Woman. I guarantee you, I don't care what Warner Brothers does. They could make a Oscar-worthy performance in a comic book movie. People could die, all of that. They're going to blacklist it. Guaranteed. They intend to see the DCEU fail. And they're not going to give up. Okay? And they're going to be as unprofessional about it as could be. But I want you to go check out this video because this guy makes some beautiful points. And apparently now we have people calling nerds fanboys. I noticed, again, it's a Marvel-tard thing you hear. So that's why I tell you these people are Marvel-tards. If it ain't Marvel Disney, it ain't going to survive. If it ain't Sony, it ain't going to survive. Watch what I'm saying. I've been saying it all along. Have my words not come to pass? Okay? A Sony Columbia film called Don't Breathe. Raining the praises on it. Ghostbusters, a Sony film. Raining the praises on it. Some people got paid. Some people got paid, baby. Box office flop, by the way. Any Marvel film, raining the praise. I haven't heard them say one bad thing about a Marvel film, Disney film yet. But yet X-Men Apocalypse, a superior film to Civil War, which was a letdown for some people. Civil War is inferior to Winter Soldier. It's not put together well at all. But that gets to rain the praises, still falls short of the last Avengers total. Okay? It's not considered a disappointment. It's not considered underachieving. But X-Men Apocalypse, in the face of negative criticism by critics, makes $585, but it has underperformed. You see what I'm saying? Because it did less than the movie last year, which was X-Men Days of Future Past. I'm showing you something. And they know they deliberately panned that movie. I'm saying all of this to say that there's no way Incredible Hulk, Green Lantern, Ghostbusters, and a ton of other box office flops were better movies than Batman v Superman or Suicide Squad. This is a deliberate attempt by critics to destroy the DCEU. It's obvious. It's so obvious. And the ridiculousness of their comments about a villain film, a film about villains. I'm hearing people talk about misogynistic. I'm hearing people talk about Harley Quinn's rights and how she is as a woman was desecrated. I'm like, God damn. This is a movie about villains. They're not good people at all. What the fuck were you expecting? So, I mean, you know, when I start to see the ridiculousness, and that's why you pan a movie, I'm talking about it being bland and boring, and I'm like, you're going to try and use the same shit you used for Batman v Superman, and it's going to pass? Fuck you, critics. Fuck you. Stupid ass motherfuckers. Nobody's going to listen to you now. Your credibility's out the window. Right? Appa Band points out the idiocy of these guys. So, I wanted to leave it at that. Remember, if you're going to look at a film and you really want people to respect your opinion about a film, judge it based on the story, and you will have no problems whatsoever. You must be able to give the heart of the story that was being portrayed and then say how effective that was. Obviously, films are made for audiences. They're not made for critics. Critics, they say, are part of the audience, a small part of the audience. So that films that are well received by an audience therefore show that they were good films. I don't care what you say. And by the way, Transformer films, guess what? They are also good films because they were received by an audience and they made blockbuster money. If they were critical blockbuster flop, you guys have a great one.